Welcome to Beach Jam Media, your resource-driven oasis with your host, Jennifer Corbin Carson. Join us each week as we dive into hot topics and essential materials for individuals and businesses. We invite you to get your feet wet and explore life's offerings. From insightful discussions to practical advice, we're here to navigate the tides of change together. Come join us for Beach Jam Media, where knowledge flows endlessly and where the currents of insight never stop. So come on, let's get our feet wet and explore what's waiting for us on the beach.
Good morning, everyone. We're a couple minutes late, sorry. I am happy that you are with us today, and come on in. Let's get our feet wet and let's level up. Good morning, Chanel. How are you?
I'm
Uh-oh, I
outside
can't hear.
enjoying
Oh,
the
there you
weather.
are.
Enjoying the weather. Love it.
Good, good. It looks beautiful out there.
It is an absolute sensational day. I mean, full spring, going to be in the 70s all day. Just couldn't be more perfect.
That's great. Yeah, same here. It's a beautiful day out. It's supposed to get about 80 degrees or so today. And I'm looking forward to it. We have archery practice today, so it'll be a nice day for that.
Oh, I love it. And I love that we're coming together on this show today, really talking about such a important topic for people and just getting ideas out there on sharing what's relevant in life, talking about what's up and what's happening, and really some very hot topics. So I'm excited to be here.
Right. Me too. Me too. I think I would like to talk about kind of touching on last week, where it's not perfection, it's placement, right? Where are you at in your journey? What what are you doing and what are you doing about it? So I was talking to a friend about the podcast, right? And I said, "Well, what did you think of it?" And she says, "Oh, it was wonderful. It was great. You know, you'll learn the lag in the in when you know in the well you're in California and I'm in Georgia, and then we have the production crew in Florida, right? So there's going to be a lag." And she said, "Okay, well, you'll learn the lag and you'll learn to wait till Chanel's done talking before you talk." And I was like, "What?" Because I didn't want to watch the podcast. I did not want to watch it because I was going to be embarrassed. My own perfectionism started creeping in, right? I didn't want to watch them. I was not going to watch them until she said that, and I'm like, well, she's got a point. And then I started thinking about it, and I'm like, how do I know what I'm doing wrong or how to improve myself to to improve the podcast so we can better serve our viewers, right? So all in that thinking, right, I came to the conclusion that I had to be able to look at myself and be embarrassed for myself, but look at why I'm embarrassed about what I'm doing, and looking at that, and not only being able to analyze myself, but being able to receive that, oh, what do they call it? The constructive criticism, right? The constructive criticism from myself to be able to evolve and be better at what I'm doing for the people that I'm serving. So, and
Absolutely. Yeah.
that's the whole thing, being able to receive a message, whether it be from analyzing yourself or being being having a spiritual message, right? It's all about being able to receive that message and be able to put it into play, right? So
Absolutely. That is the key right there, is the receiving. And I actually wrote a piece on receiving. It's going to be the forward to the book, the Receiving Life book, because we have the Reinvented Life book, right? And
right,
what you're talking about is always taking a look at what's going on in your life, what's relevant, what's happening, how are we approaching it, and how are we doing things, and how are we listening to the energies that are consistently around us. And it's a very spiritual thought when you think about the energies and the beingness rather than the doingness. We always say we're not human doings, we're human beings. And part of that is receiving. And we forget about it because we've kind of adopted these cultural norms. And I put that right in what you're going to read, the passage of it's better to give than to receive. And we've just all bought into that notion. But the truth is, we have to receive. We have to receive the messages, receive the energy from those around us in order that we operate in the highest alignment with ourselves.
absolutely, yes. And there's a balance. So kind of reiterating what you just said, there's a balance between giving and receiving. But we have to look at where we're at and what level we're on. I think that's huge because it's just like I was watching a trailer for something, and what they said was everybody's on a different level, right? If you've ever taken a program or a growth program of any sort or a weight loss program or anything like that, and it didn't work for you, but it worked for two or three of your friends, well, you're not on the same level they are, and they're not on the same level you are. So, how do you expect that to work? If you don't look at what level you're on and how you are receiving, it's not going to happen.
Exactly. So it's looking at how you are receiving, and this notion of receiving will then apply in all the aspects of your life. That's why I'm excited about this forward, because I think it really explains it.
Yes, absolutely. So, okay, so to give the viewers a back view of what we had talked about. We had talked about several things this week about what we were going to talk about on the show. And lo and behold, this morning, with a couple phone calls, it all changed. But that's life, right? And we have to learn to go with the tide. How's that? So, Chanel and I were talking, and about receiving and about how we ourselves receive different things. And so she said, in the middle of our conversation this morning, she said, "Hold on, wait a minute. I have to find something." I was like, "Okay." So I waited, and she came up with this, what she journaled a couple years ago. You said in 22, right?
Yes.
So In 2022, she journaled this. And this morning, we are talking about it. Talk about coming full circle. Okay, so this is what she journaled. It is a valuable lesson to receive. Usually, this lesson has to be learned. As with other limiting beliefs in life, we have been taught and heard from an early age it's better to give than to receive. And we have bought into it. We bought into this mantra. What's worse is that we have created conditions, often going to great lengths to avoid receiving. Sometimes this goes on for a lifetime. Unless this thought pattern gets broken or gets shattered in some way, it becomes a habitual way of thinking. This then becomes routine. We equate giving to care at times. We equate giving to care. At times, we think it is the only way to demonstrate care. It becomes a notion we believe is real. We create a lifestyle around it and then feel better about ourselves because this is who I really am, a caring, loving person. We've decided we are better because we give and ignore the receiving. Really? Does caring and loving exclude being vulnerable? Appearing strong and knowing what is best, and by being the one who gives? Receiving means there needs to be openness, a space for whatever you're letting in to be received. It may sound counterintuitive, but giving actually can mean being closed. We show up by displaying what we are conditioned to believe until the aha moment. The aha moment, when it hits us, it's like a ton of bricks. The very act of thinking it is unselfish to give can actually be, in part, be very selfish. To be transparent, it makes ourselves feel better. It can elevate us artificially. That could be its own show. Everyone has done it. Our own worlds can be burning out of control, yet we sacrifice ourselves by paying attention to the needs of others. This could be the friend who's having a hardship, the coworker that we can be of assistance to. All of these are ways to divert attention away from dealing with what we need to do for ourselves. Limiting our behaviors too often do for others can be disempowering. Yet, although this can feel good, it is generally not long lasting. Giving has its place and can be nice for certain. I practice it daily, meaning Chanel. Yet the secret to true happiness is the opening of your heart to create an intangible receiving for your strengthened soul. Not becoming our strongest self is in fact selfish. You cannot show up in the strongest way when you weaken yourself. If you need to do for others before yourself, you are not creating your strongest self. It lies in the confidence of knowing so much simultaneously with knowing how much there is to learn. It becomes okay to learn from others because it is no longer shattering our confidence. Receiving can elevate us to a higher, more secure self. Do we really want to be a lifelong learner? Or is it this notion simply a front or cover up for being open to receive? We must ask ourselves these tough questions. Perhaps receiving of valuable life lessons and taking in situations is more aligned with what we desire. Engaging with something new in life will likely be life altering. Being open to receiving is breaking of the conditioned mind. It is breaking of a pattern of putting ourselves last. Giving has its place, but giving to merely accommodate is something different. Receiving does not equal merely taking or accepting a handout. Receiving equals the willingness to give others the opportunity to give while broadening their own horizons. We create endless possibilities through this. It is ultimately how we reinvent, how we make our hearts sing, and how we can fill our souls. It is the way out of chaos. It's the path to new possibilities in life. I thought it kept going. But it's the way out of chaos, and it's the path to new possibilities in life. Wow.
Thank you. Thank you for reading that and revealing that and seeing the importance of it, because it is so incredibly important that we honor each other by putting ourselves in the position to receive, really feeling it while giving others the opportunity to give. And that shift in the perspective of you're just as strong, if not stronger, if you receive. And this whole conversation and this whole dialogue came from an outreach that happened uh, about and from a dear friend whose life I have impacted. And it really took me to tears, because I realized when I can impact a life of others, when any of us can inspire and be impactful to others, we're really performing the highest level of good. And although we can't change what's happening all over the world, what we can change is the ability to level up the frequencies within our communities. And ultimately, it does change the collective and it does change the energies. And that's the contribution we can make. So we can start to really that receiving as part of not just the vulnerability of it, but the grace of it, we're then making a huge impact.
Yes, absolutely. And I don't think it's actually a vulnerability. It is for some people. But if you open yourself up to be vulnerable and to be able to analyze yourself, that makes you a stronger person, which makes you stronger for the people that you need to support. Right. So that being said, I when you read that to me earlier, what I just read to the viewers, when you read that to me earlier, I thought of a mom who is doing everything for the household, doing everything she can. She's taking the kids to school. She's doing the groceries. She's cleaning the house. She's doing extracurricular activities with the kids. Or a stay at home dad is doing the same thing. But are they showing up for themselves? And I think that's really important. And that's one of the messages that I got from your journal entry, is that are we showing up for ourselves? Because we need to be strong for ourselves before we can be strong for other people. What's that saying about our cup runneth over?
Yeah. You really can't serve from an empty cup. And
You
we need
cannot.
to allow ourselves that filling up and becoming the strongest. There's a real misnomer that caring for ourselves, whether that be physically, mentally, emotionally, even spiritually, there's a notion that that is being selfish. But the truth is that strength is what we need to help empower others.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, people get overwhelmed, I think, because it's all encompassing with what you just told us, right? Physically, mentally, spiritually. I mean, that's only three of the seven, I think there are, of what you need to, you know, look at in your life and say, okay, this isn't what I need to work on. But I think we get overwhelmed with what we need to do for ourselves, right? So small steps, right? One thing at a time. If you feel empty because you're not spiritually satisfied, talk to a person of the cloth. and see, no matter what denomination you are, talk to a priest, a pastor, start exploring. That's what Google's for. Start exploring in where you're feeling neglected. So if you're feeling neglected on the spiritual side, then start analyzing that. Start asking questions. I think that's one of the things that we don't do is we don't ask questions. And if we don't know the right questions to ask, we stay silent. And that doesn't help anything. So if we go to that person and say, okay, I'm really not feeling it. Can you help me out? I don't know what questions to ask. So can you help me? And I think that's the beginning. If you just come out in egos can come into play too, with you not serving yourself.
Yeah, serving yourself, and in this example of what we're giving this morning, serving yourself not just by the doings, but by how you're being. And the spiritual side is always going to come true in the being. So we're not human doings, we're human beings. And how you're being in life is exactly why this show is so important, is that it's going to start to promote the questions we're asking ourselves. It's starting to take a look at what's relevant in our lives. We always say, when we're talking about the Beach Jam, it's what washes up in life. And whether it be how we're parenting, how we're working, how we're conducting relationships, the truth is it always starts with how strong do we feel about ourselves? How confident are we within who we are? And that is what is the outcome of all of this. So I'm absolutely thrilled that you have brought this Beach Jam show forward on this Reinvented Life Network, because as we all reinvent, we're all in it together, and our energies start to exponentially grow and multiply. So I know we run out of time. We could talk all day, but it's beautiful coming together on this show.
Yes, it is. And not only with you, but with our viewers as well. So, and we're very fortunate to have this time together. I appreciate you and our production team.
And I appreciate
Thank you. So, closing out the show today, you can join us every Wednesday at 11 a.m. We'll get there. Honestly, we will. If you can't join us live, catch us on the replay on YouTube. And if you catch us on the replay, comment below on the replay if you can on YouTube, and just say replay, or I caught you guys, or some constructive criticism, and maybe a topic that you would like to hear for a future podcast. If you want to get a hold of us, you can find us on Beach Jam Media on Facebook, and you can find us on YouTube for the replays, like I said. And you can contact us by emailing us at beachjammedia, that's 2 M's, at gmail.com. So we hope to see you next week, and at the beach, right? Sorry, I'm looking at my notes. So we'll see you next week at the beach.
Thank you for tuning in to Beach Jam Media with your host, Jennifer Corbin Carson. We hope today's dive into hot topics and valuable resources left you feeling refreshed and inspired. Our mission is to keep you informed and engaged as we ride the waves of what washes up in life together. Until next time, stay curious, keep the conversation flowing, ask questions, and let the glisten of the shoreline guide your journey. Goodbye.